What's going on, everyone? Today, I suppose I just really wanted to talk about what's going on with current events in my life and in the world. And I actually wanted to record since the morning. But this morning, I've just been a ball of mixed emotions. And obviously, people don't think clear whenever they're thinking emotionally. Every single day, I wake up and all I ever see, read, and hear about is fighting going on in this country, infighting amongst our own selves. Democrats, Republicans, Trump, 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 Trump. There's so much hate in this world, in our country, most importantly, our country. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it because I think of my own situation. I think of how I always try to see the good in people. I trust people. And I can't catch a break. It just seems that people are inherently evil, when on the contrary, we're supposed to think of it otherwise. I honestly really don't know what goes on in people's heads. I'm not a counselor. I have no experience in those matters to speak on that. So I'm not even going to attempt to get into that. But what I will say is that I really do want to make a difference for everybody. Make an actual difference in this country. And I need an opportunity. I need you all to believe in me and to know that if you all grant me this opportunity, I will serve you all and loyally. I've mentioned it in other videos that these Democrats, these Republicans, they can't ever seem to work together. They're just always fighting amongst each other. And it reminds me of everything else in this country. People always fighting against each other instead of working together as Americans, the way we should be working together. Guys, I'm going to tell you this, and I really want you all to pay attention. The only solution to this is running independent from these political parties and their agendas. It's important to put somebody in who's going to act in your best interest, not in anybody else's. And that's what I intend to do. How am I going to do this? Okay. Well, first of all, when our forefathers created the Constitution, a good part of them were farmers. That's what they did. That's what they did for a living. They farmed and attended to their own businesses a good part of the year, and only part-time did they meet to decide the fate, the direction in take this country. And that is what our current politicians have forgotten. They've made careers out of it, lifelong careers, and that's why we're seeing people who are easily 70 years old who have been in politics since, I suppose, the 70s. One of the things that we need to accept is, yes, this world, this country has changed in so many ways, and I'm not going to say anything negative about them. What I am going to say is I commend them for their duty to this country. But it's time for change. It really is time for change. I don't believe that people or that our forefathers intended for politicians to make it a lifelong career. Secondly, I still don't understand, and I can't wrap my head around this, as to why it is that we're paying these public servants with taxpayer money. I mean, at least from my own understanding, when you go into office, you're going to want to go in to serve the people, to make decisions on the people's best interests. You should be able to handle your own business and not depend on the people to survive, to do good things. That needs to change. We need to implement term limits. We need to implement changes in salary. And we need to reassure that these politicians that we're voting in are making decisions on the people's behalf, in their best interest. How would I do that? Well, first of all, I wouldn't have any ties to any political party. Secondly, I'd forfeit my government salary. What I would do with that instead, to appease people who do decide to vote for me, is let them know that I'm going to bring in some sort of law enforcement officials that are Democrat and Republican. That way, the people know that ultimately, when I am in there casting my vote, making the decision on laws, that I'm voting for what they wanted me to vote for. I can't go into schematics. It's very difficult, but this will get figured out. All I can tell you is that if given this opportunity, you better believe that every decision that I would make would be for my constituents. Anything that I'm not going to promise anything. That's one of the things that these politicians do. They go in, they make all sorts of promises, then obviously when they're put in this position, things change, right? It's like somebody winning the lottery. I just talked about this earlier with my wife. It seems like people who are given this opportunity, a blessing, whether it be a superintendent, whether it be any high-ranking official, everything that happens to a person in their life is a blessing. And it seems that they forget about that blessing once they're in that position. It's important to always remember what you've been through, who you owe it to. First and foremost, God. Secondly, your constituents. And thirdly, making good on what you say that you're going to make good on. So I'm not going to go into office and make any promises that I have no idea what I'm talking about. What I'm going to do is handle what's already on the table and leave it to the people as far as what they want. There's no other way going about this. If put in this position that I'd like to be put on, and I don't want to be making decisions on my own. I want to be making decisions on behalf of my constituents, my people, the people that I represent. And obviously, that would be the people of the Rio Grande Valley, my district, but ultimately for the American people. I can't stress that enough. Politicians need to start thinking about Americans, about this country, the well-being of our citizens. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Why? I don't even understand why anybody has to even discuss this. If you're put on in this position, it's because you're going to represent what the people want, not what big corporations want, not any other entity besides the people that you represent. I'm going to cut off right here for now. That's all that I can really talk about and what's coming to my mind. I will cover this more into detail later. Obviously, these are just thoughts in my mind. I haven't even begun with my own personal life. And I want you all to see it all. Thank you all. I love you all.